What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Run It Up podcast. I'm your host, Najee Adams. You know, I got my guy with me today, Jalal Sandy. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, bro. It's been a busy day, but we here.
We're locked in. We're 24 hours. I think the draft starts at 8, 7, something like that. So we're
Starts
like
at
at
8,
least 24 hours, a little bit over 24 hours
23
away from
hours,
the
30
actual
minutes.
draft. Yeah, we're a little bit away from the actual draft. And today's episode is going to be really simple. If it looks a little weird, like it doesn't look like it normally does, we usually have like the purple thing and the logo and our names and all that. We're sharing screen. Me and Jalal are going to run through a first round mock draft. Every pick, he's going to pick all the odd numbers. So like 1, 3, 5, 7, da da da. I'm going to pick all the even numbers. We did it that way so that when it gets to 23, he'll have the Packers pick, and when it gets to 18, I'll have the Seahawks pick, and it'll be great. And so yeah, we're gonna. Are we doing the mock based on what we think will happen, or what we would do if we were these teams?
What we would do, like as terrible GMs that we are, what we would do.
Okay, great. Okay, cool. So we're doing the mock as in what we would do. I think we might trade. I don't know. We have to actually put the trades together, and the way that like the Pro Football Network trade thing works is like they can decline it, or I guess like we would be the ones declining and accepting it because we're the team. So we'll figure it out along the way. But we're doing a first round mock. At the end of it, we'll see how close we end up being to whatever happens tomorrow. And so yeah, before we get into it, make sure you guys subscribe to Run It Up Podcast everywhere the podcasts are found. Find us on Twitter, TikTok, everywhere else that you leave 5-star ratings and reviews. Spotify, do it up. Make sure you follow us on TikTok at the Run It Up Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Run It Up Pod. I'm on Twitter at _. Jalal J Sandy 45 _. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. But before we get into it, song of the week. I think I started first last week. So what's your song of the week, my boy?
My song of the week is "Do What I Say" by K1, who is from the UK. She, first of all, when I heard of her, I thought she was a he. I was like, yo, this dude is nice, because she kind of sounded like a guy. So I'm like, yeah, she's nice, or he's nice. And then Destiny was like, that's a woman. I was like, stop lying to me. But she's had a couple singles come out, and then she had a remix to one of her songs, Worst Behavior, and she did a remix with Kehlani. And that shit blew up, and they're actually dating, so that's kind of why it blew up. And then this is her most recent single, came out a couple weeks ago, maybe. Fire. Waiting for her to drop an actual project.
I've never heard of her, but shout out. My song of the week is a very popular song. I think I said this last week. I have not listened to not an ounce of new music. Like I just feel like
it's not
nothing coming out. Like we just been in a drought for music. But my song of the week is "On One Tonight" by Gunna. I think everyone's probably heard it. But it is a great song, and I was listening to it the other day, and that's what makes it my song of the week. So, diving into the NFL mock draft, like I said, Jalal's going to pick all the odds, and I'll pick all the evens. So, with the number one pick in the draft, the Titans GM, Mr. Shedeur Sanders, is on the clock at number one. Obviously, it's on my computer, so if you want me to like move down or scroll or whatever, let me know throughout the draft.
Is there a way I can also control the screen? Like we could both control it at the same time?
I don't think so because I'm just screen sharing. But
that's fine. Figure it out.
I mean, for this one, I highly doubt you need me to scroll.
Yeah, no, we're good. Dun, 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 dun. The pick is in. Roger Goodell comes to the stage, gets booed in Green Bay with the first pick in 2025 NFL Draft. The Tennessee Titans select Cam Ward, from the quarterback from the University of Miami.
Yeah, you almost said Florida.
I almost said Florida.
I mean, I don't
say Florida in quotation.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to talk through why you picked Cam? I think pretty self-explanatory, but go for it.
Titans need a quarterback. He's the best quarterback in the draft. They're pretty desperate to find their guy. And I think when you have the number one pick going with the best quarterback in that draft, or guy who's pretty talented, he's a Heisman candidate, led the college football in touchdowns last year, was one of the most electric players to watch, and went up against some decent competition. And Miami was pretty relevant the entire year. I think Tennessee needs some new blood in their franchise in general, just something to get excited about. And Cam Ward got some dog in him, and I think he can be a really good quarterback one day. I don't know how he's going to look his rookie year, but hey, he's got some potential. I like him.
Yeah, I think for the Titans, I think some people have talked about like skill wise, do you trade out of number one and try and pick up value and do all that? I think the way the Titans look at it is, hey, we don't know what pick we're going to be next year. There's no guarantee that whatever pick we get, if we're ass, not ass, teams win games in week 16 that take them from the second pick to the sixth. So, like, there's no guarantee that we're ever going to be in this position again to get the number one player on our board, number one quarterback on our board. So we take the guy when we know we have the chance to do it, and I totally understand that. For the Browns, Mr. GM Najee on the clock. For me, this is a pretty easy one. I think that Travis Hunter is the best football player in the draft. And I think like the Browns are in a scenario where like you gotta put asses in seats, like you gotta put asses in seats, and there's nothing to do that in Cleveland right now. Like Deshaun Watson, who's your franchise quarterback, tore his Achilles, and half the fan base hates him anyway. Your franchise cornerstone, Nick Chubb, is a free agent currently. He's probably not coming back. I don't know if people are giving a fuck about Jerry Jeudy, and I don't know that Myles Garrett is making people come to games. Like, you need something electric. I don't think Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco are going to get it done. So, like, I understand the want to take Shedeur here, and he is my QB1, so like I understand it truly, but I think Travis Hunter is the best football player in the draft. He is putting asses in seats. People are going to care about his career. You not only get what I believe is the best receiver in the draft to go alongside Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman, you also get the best corner in the draft. So for me, I'm letting him play both sides. If I'm the GM, he playing cornerback and he playing wide receiver, and that's the only way that I'm justifying a top 2 pick on him. And yeah, Travis Hunter, welcome to Cleveland, buddy. And so with the third pick, the New York Football Giants are back on the clock. I guess not back on the clock for the first time, but Jalal Sandy is back on the clock. Who are you riding with at 3?
So at 3, we've talked about the Giants. And I've said they could take a quarterback, they can take an edge, they can take a tackle. I think the best thing for them to do here is to trade down. So I'm going to trade down.
Okay. Well, who we doing? What we doing?
So we're going to do the Saints.
Okay. Saints, come up. New Orleans. Oh, I'm bugging. Now you have to do it both. Wait, technical difficulties. Chill out. Giants. Boom. Saints. Boom. All right. Talk to me.
Yep.
What we
So we're swapping the 3 and 9, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And New Orleans is really desperate to get a quarterback. So I think they could give up 71 and 184.
Okay.
To jump up to 3. Let's see if they accept that. Let's see.
Well, it's you, so you are both teams. So.
I guess, but no, I did one myself earlier, and they declined it. So
that's insane.
They might decline it.
Trade has been accepted. Boom.
Okay,
the Saints are on the clock.
With the third pick in the NFL draft, the New Orleans Saints pick who they will want to lead their franchise for the next 10 to 15 years. Mr. Shedeur Sanders.
Woo! Top 3 draft capital, baby. Okay.
The reason why I did that was because I think there's a decent chance that the Raiders don't go Ashton Genty at 6. Like, I think they can convince themselves that we can pick Shedeur and he can sit behind Geno for 2 years and then he can take over the mantle. And
Mm-hmm.
that sounds like a great plan. It's worked with other quarterbacks in the past. And I mean, Geno's not a bad quarterback, but he's a bridge quarterback officially in this stage of his career. And Shedeur has a lot of potential, a lot of promise. He's got maybe some pocket awareness things he needs to work on. But I mean, if you just need a guy to get the ball to Brock Bowers and eventually whatever receiver you will take in the future, and whoa, hold on.
You're making the case for if the Raiders, why the Saints would trade up.
I almost confused. I almost galaxy brain that crazy.
Because you're saying the Raiders might take him.
Yeah, like if the Raiders were to take him, like you need a guy to get the ball to Brock Bowers and whatever receiver they probably will take. Maybe not this draft, but in a future draft. Shedeur is that guy. Like he's accurate. He turns the ball over, but that's usually because he's holding the ball too long. Mm-hmm. But I do like him as a quarterback. You had him as your number one quarterback. I had him number two. I do think if things go right, he can be better than Cam Ward. But we'll see. We'll see. I'd like this for the Saints if they did it. It's a nice aggressive move. I think everybody's still scarred from the Bryce Young trade, like giving up too much to go get your quarterback. But if you believe that guy is your guy, you gotta give up what you need to give up to go get him. I wouldn't suggest giving up 3 firsts, but hey, they gave up what, a first, a second, and a fifth, I believe that was.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, you gave up a first. Is the 71st pick a second?
That might be a third. That might be an early.
I think it's a third. Yeah, I think they gave up a first, a third, and like a 6th or 7th, whatever. I like it for the Saints. I think they would have to know that someone before 9 is gonna take him. Like obviously we aren't in these rooms, but like if they aren't convinced that the Raiders are going to take him or the Jets are going to take him, then I think, or the like if some team, or even not one of those teams, some other team is going to trade up. If the Steelers feel like, yo, we need to trade up and get him, then I think it makes sense for them to go get their guy. I also think that he would fit well with the Saints. Like I like him in New Orleans. Like I don't worry about, I know some people are like, oh, New Orleans, a lot going on. I don't worry about like distractions with Shedeur because he's been famous his entire life. Like he's not like one of these random guys from fucking North Dakota that come and get famous and they're like, oh shit. Nah, he's been famous forever. So like, I don't think that anything phases him in that sense. But yeah, I understand it. For me at 4, the Patriots, I mean, I think this is the Pats' best case scenario. Like if this is what ends up happening, I think this is their best case scenario. They stick and they pick Abdul Carter. I think a lot of people consider him a top 3 talent in the draft. If I'm them, I love this. Mike Vrabel, we have our young offensive stud in Drake May. We already have a defensive stud on that side of the ball in Christian Gonzalez. We get him a guy on the defensive line that can cause havoc in Abdul Carter and make shit easier for Drake May so he don't got to put up 30 points a game. And so, yeah, I'm taking Abdul Carter. I think that like this is Patriots fans' dream top 4 because realistically you see like Cam Ward, Travis Hunter,
but Abdul the thing is they can either like the Patriots are good either way, bro. Because all right, let's say the Giants take Abdul Carter at 3. At 4, you can pick between Will Campbell, Mason Graham, and Armand Membu. Or if you want to take a receiver, you want to take Ted. I wouldn't take Ted at 4, but if you want to take Ted McMillan, you could take Ted McMillan.
Yeah,
like they're in a great spot.
He's going high. There's been like intel, like rumors over the past couple days that like these teams in the top 7, top 8 are feeling Tet. So I'm not shocked.
Yeah,
but you're back on the board at Jacksonville. I think this is where the draft gets interesting. So I'm curious to see what you end up doing.
I think the Jags need consistency. They need players with experience. They need guys who can just come in and contribute from day one. And at this point,
but before you pick, as the number 10 Bears, I would like to trade up to the 5th pick.
Okay, what are you offering?
I don't know, but hold on.
This man on the phone not being serious. Come on, we on the clock, buddy. We got a pick to make. You sitting there playing on the phone.
Okay, so obviously We give you for you to move back 5 spots. We give you 10. You give us 5. We'll give you 72 and 148
Oh, what the?
for 5 and 182.
Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, you
Take
just
it
got
out.
hung up on. You just got
Wait,
hung up on,
so
brother.
what would you want? What would I have to make it?
10 and 41.
41 to move up 5 picks.
Yeah.
Okay,
We are taking who we believe to be a cornerstone player.
You wouldn't do it for 10, 72, and a future third?
No. Maybe a future second. A future second, 26 second.
I can't. All right, we can't. The Bears tried, everybody. The Bears tried. Okay, who does Jacksonville take?
Jacksonville is taking Mason Graham, who has been in the limelight for the last 2 years at least. He's played on a championship team in college. He's been coached by one of the best coaches at that time, one of the best coaches in college football, and now one of the better coaches in the NFL in Jim Harbaugh. See, I always get them confused. And I think the Jaguars just need more juice on defense. They've got a few guys, like they've got Josh Allen, Hines Allen. They've got Trayvon Walker. They've got is Miles Jack still on the team? Yes, right?
I think no. No, I don't think so.
They've got Owulakan from Atlanta. So they've got pieces, but their interior defense is god awful. They were top 5 or bottom 5 in rushing yards allowed last year. How do I know that? Because I play fantasy football. You didn't have to tell me. I already know.
Yeah.
So Mason Graham can plug up the middle of their defense. He's got the pedigree, and I think he can start day one. And they really, truly need that.
Boom. And so here at 6, as I'm the Raiders,
Don't be a pundit.
If I'm the Bears, as the Bears, I could trade up to 6 with myself. But I thought you were going to take Genty at 5. And
no. We as the Jaguars believe we can get a good running back in the second round. This is a deep class.
And so I'm tipping my cap now as the Bears. I don't know that anyone here, because as the Raiders, I'm taking Will Campbell because I think the rate, like you can find running. I'm thinking of a Pete Carroll team, right? Like they signed Raheem Mostert. They have Zamir White, Sincere McCormick, all these like makeshift guys. I think they can find a running back in round 2 that they're comfortable with. Hell, they could sign fucking Nick Chubb. You know, like you could find a running back that you're comfortable with.
There's J.K. Dobbins still a free agent. Yeah, you can find somebody.
Like you could find a running back you're comfortable with. I think the Raiders need offensive line, and I was thinking of taking Armand Membu, and specifically they need tackle. And so Will Campbell, the best tackle in the draft, is still here at this point. I just think that like they wouldn't pass up on it because like you can find running back later, and I think the tackle like this is a pretty relatively good offensive line class, but like the caliber of player you think Will Campbell is doesn't come around often, especially as you get down later in the draft. So as the Raiders, I would sit here and I would take Will Campbell. And so back on the clock as the Jets. Yeah. Who are you going with?
The Jets need a lot. They need a tackle. They need a receiver. They need a tight end. They might need a QB if Justin Fields doesn't work out. And I think you sign Justin Fields, you might want to get him some help. And I personally here would not take a receiver. I'm not as bullish on Ted McMillan as a lot of people are. So I'm gonna go tight end. And I'm taking Tyler Warren out of Penn State to be the Jets' new starting tight end. He can be a security blanket for Justin Fields. He can help out in the run game, blocking wise. And on top of that, he can just be can soak up targets and take away attention from Garrett Wilson, who's been begging for some help and not having to line up across from Alan Lazard and Aaron Rodgers' butt buddy in Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
And I think it'll help in the run game. I think it'll help their passing game. And honestly, like, he's just a good football player. He just knows how to play football. I would say he's like the George Kittle type of tight end, where he just does a little bit of everything. Maybe it doesn't show up on the stat sheet every night, but you know he's out there giving his 100% hard effort every night.
Yeah. I like that pick, especially for my Justin Fields shares. Right now, I think their tight end is Stone Smart. So, like, I like the Tyler Warren pick. And plus, like, Tyler Warren is a guy who Penn State used in a lot of different ways. Like, they rushed the ball with him. They had him obviously receiving, good blocker. Like, I think the Jets, and specifically, I think their OC is Tanner Engstrand, who is the Lions passing game coordinator. So you would expect him to be a creative play caller who can find him ways to get the ball. And anything that makes Justin Fields' life easier, I'm for. So I like the pick. For me, the Panthers, they gave up the most points in NFL history last season. They were a historically bad defense, and they weren't they weren't a good pass rush either. So for me, I'm taking, and I just feel like they need a culture setting guy on the defensive end. And by all accounts, Jalen Walker out of Georgia is one of the better character guys, and like coming out of Georgia, that's in like,
that's saying a lot.
That's like, saying a lot. So like, I think he's a guy that's gonna be a solid pass rusher for them, set a culture on the defensive end, and give them a cornerstone guy on that side of the ball to build around. I'm personally a big Jalen Walker fan. He is a little bit undersized, but like he can play at multiple spots on defense. He's one of only 2 SEC defenders who managed to play at least 300 snaps at outside linebacker, 200 at inside linebacker, and 50 at slot corner. So like, he is he's just a weapon. Yeah, he's just a weapon on the defensive end of the ball, and the Panthers need talent. The Panthers need talent.
And he's not, I wouldn't say he's like ready today to be the star of your defense, but he can do so much that if he's able to grow with guys, like if the Panthers want to build a young D with Derek Brown at D tackle, who I think is fantastic. Jesus, help me out here. The corner for the Panthers,
J.C. Horn.
Yes. So you got like 3 guys on 3 different levels of your defense that are really trying to grow into something. And I think as a guy who can do a little bit of everything, probably you can put him at safety sometimes. He can rush the passer off the edge, and then he can play off the ball. Like I love him, man. He's only like 21, 22.
Yeah, he's 21. He just turned 21.
Yeah, bro. Like he might be my favorite player in the draft.
Yeah, I'm a big Jalen Walker guy. So for me, as the Panthers, I think this is a mass, like in the real draft, I could see him going higher. Like I could see him going to the Jets. I could see Aaron Glenn.
I could see him going to the Jaguars.
Yeah, like I could see him going higher than this. Like I can see Aaron Glenn falling in love with him. I can see Pete Carroll falling in love with him. So like I think as the Panthers would be happy with this. Jalen Walker, boom. Wow, the Genty slide. Shit.
Genty is sliding. I don't think it's a slide, though.
Me either. Back on the clock at 9, the New York Giants, who traded down from 3. What are you doing?
So there's 2 guys here that I think the Giants could take. I'm looking at tackle, looking at offensive tackle. I'm looking at cornerback. And I think here you can get a guy that you could have drafted at 3. And Armand Membu. So you got to take him here. You were able to acquire some draft capital, drop down, still get the guy that you might have taken at 3. Can't pass up that opportunity. I think here, you can make an argument Will Johnson is maybe the best defensive player here. I don't think it's really an argument. I'm looking at it now. But you got to protect whoever's behind center. Like whether it's Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston, you got to protect your quarterback and whoever you might bring in the future. Because I don't know if they walk out of this draft with a quarterback that will lead their franchise, but hey, give him a chance.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want 35, 36-year-old Russell Wilson running for his life. I don't want Jameis Winston running for his life.
Yeah, regardless, whoever it is,
Yeah.
And so yeah, I like this. I like this for the Giants. I think I'm a big Membu fan too. I think he is a physical guy. Like he was consistent. He only surrendered 1 sack and 391 pass blocking snaps last year. And he was playing against a bunch of SEC guys. So like better, more talented guy. Obviously, the most talent in the SEC out of the P5 Power 5 schools. So like there's something to say about that. And I really like Armand Membu. So yeah, I like it for the Giants. Let me go ahead and select him here. And the Bears are back on the clock. Ben Johnson's Bears. They were willing to trade up for 5 for Ashton Genty, and somehow, some way, he falls to the Bears at 10. And I just think that there's no way that Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles would pass up on this. I think talent-wise, Genty, top 5 player in the draft. Obviously, we know he was a couple yards off breaking Barry Sanders' record. Like he is
best offensive player in the draft.
Yeah. Sure. Like I just think he is absolutely insane. And yeah, there's not many, like I don't need to run down the stats. Everybody knows who Ashton Genty is. I think an offense with him, Caleb Williams, you could find ways to get DeAndre Swift involved in a lesser capacity, which might make him more efficient. You have DJ Moore, you have year 2 Rome. They let Keenan Allen go, so they're still trying to find a wide receiver 3 to mix in there. But regardless, I think they're fine. Cole Kmet, Ben Johnson will figure it out. And they stacked up the offensive line. I think the Bears are going to be a pretty good team this season, and adding Ashton Genty to that offense is a no-brainer for them. I also do want to say this because I planned on doing it later, but I wasn't expecting you to draft Shedeur 3. My actual bold take prediction for the draft, and I said this to you in our group chat, is that the Browns take Travis Hunter, and then Shedeur falls down to 20. The Broncos trade out to the Browns so that the Browns can take Shedeur before the Steelers take him at 21 so that they can reunite Shedeur and Travis. And that'll really get asses in seats. Like,
yes, it would.
If we trying to sell tickets, we move in Colorado.
And Shedeur is starting day 1. Shedeur is most likely starting day 1.
And Joe Flacco easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my actual prediction. That obviously didn't happen here because shout out to the Saints. They were bold. They got their guy. But that's just I just wanted to put it on wax. So just in case it happens, I can say I called it. But the Niners are on the clock here at 11. Mr. Jalaal Sandy, GM of the Niners. What are you doing here?
If I'm John Lynch, I'm creaming in my pants right now, bro.
Okay.
We sat here. We're past 10. And the guy who we think is the best corner in the draft is still sitting here. And we got to take him. At this point, the 49ers are in a spot where they aren't rebuilding. They're kind of retooling. You're hoping Christian McCaffrey comes back healthy. Brock Purdy is looking for a massive deal. And you have Brandon Ayuk coming off of ACL and surgery. You don't know what you're going to get out of Ricky Pearsall, but you're hopeful. George Kittle is George Kittle. We know what he does. And your defense is in a tough spot because Hufanga gets hurt every year, and then he left. And your corners aren't, I want to say, consistent. You've got Fred Warner leading the defense. Dre Greenlaw leaves. So how do you build back up that defense that was once one of the most fearsome defenses in the NFL? I think your secondary is as bad as your worst corner.
Cooking.
So you take Will Johnson here at number 11, and you're happy about it. I've been watching Will Johnson his entire college career, and I said even with Travis Hunter, he's the best corner in this draft. I think Travis Hunter has better ball skills. I just think Will Johnson's the better overall corner. He's good in man. He's good in zone. And he's played against some of the best wide receiver prospects in recent NFL history. He's played against Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's played against Emeka Egbuka, who's in this draft. He's played against Jeremiah Smith, who is an absolute demon.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, his resume speaks for itself. He was voted best corner 2 years ago, or best defensive back 2 years ago. I mean, I think he can be a lockdown corner, and I'm hoping it's not one of those things where he ends up like my boy from Ohio State, Jeff Okuda.
Yeah,
Jeff Okuda coming out. Everybody loved Jeff Okuda, and he just wasn't good.
yeah.
So
yeah.
just wasn't good.
Boom. So Niners get Will Johnson on the clock as the Cowboys.
This is interesting. I want to see what you do here.
For me, I know the Cowboys are. There's two options, right? I think the Cowboys are looking at offensive line and they're looking at receiver. And so for me, it's either Kelvin Banks, who went to Texas, or Ted McMillan. I think when I look at the Cowboys wide receiver depth chart, it's CeeDee Lamb, great, top 4 receiver in the NFL. And then it's Jalen Tolbert, Cavante Turpin. They traded for Jonathan Mingo, and they've got Ryan Flournoy. And so
I don't even know who that last dude is, I'm gonna be honest with you.
And so at this point, I take Ted McMillan. I think that just talent-wise, he's the best guy here. Obviously, I don't think that he's this can't miss prospect. I think that there is a world where Ted isn't the wide receiver 1 in this class. But I do think that he's a different style of receiver than CeeDee Lamb. Like, I think CeeDee's shifty. I think he can make the jump ball. I think we talked about this before. Like, you look for wide receivers that check all 3 boxes of like yards after catch, contested catch, and separation. I think CeeDee Lamb checks every single box, which is why he's one of the top 4 wide receivers in the NFL. I think Tet is more of a jump ball guy, big body target. 3 seasons at Arizona, he had 33 receptions on balls thrown, 20 or more yards downfield, led the country. Like, he's a big play guy. He can also win underneath, though. He had 145 receiving yards on first downs in that same 3-year span. So, like, just giving him more, like giving Dak more talent to work with, giving that Cowboys offense more talent to work with. A guy for the first time in a while, honestly, that can really force defenses to not just load up on CeeDee. I'm gonna
probably
go ahead
since Amari Cooper.
Yeah, since Amari Cooper. I'm gonna go ahead and take Ted McMillan, and I think the Cowboys would be pretty ecstatic with this. So, boom.
I like it.
Dolphins on the clock. What you doing?
Dolphins need a lot on defense. I think offensively, you're pretty set. You know, Tua's coming back. You got Tyreek Hill. You got Jalen Waddle, Jonnu Smith, Devon Achane, Jalen Wright. Like your offense is pretty much set, with the exception of maybe a tackle or a guard. So I'm looking defensively here, and a guy that I really like. I don't think it's a reach. Second or third best corner in this draft, Jahdae Barron out of Texas. I think the Dolphins need to beef in their secondary a little bit. Jalen Ramsey doesn't sound like he wants to be there. Yeah. And honestly, Jalen Ramsey has taken a step back. I think I don't remember who said it, but they said that he should be open to playing safety. And when people are saying that, you know you look bad. I mean, Charles Woodson converted to safety. Champ Bailey was a safety at one point. So, like, when corners convert to safety, that basically means you don't have the speed to keep up with a wide receiver. And I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's just you just don't look good as a corner anymore. It happens to the best of them.
Yeah, I actually really like Jahdae Barron. He won the Jim Thorpe Award, which is like the award in college for the best DB. And I remember it was this big controversy that Travis didn't win it, even though he won the Heisman. But like, I really do like Jahdae Barron. He had 5 interceptions, 67 tackles, 11 pass breakups, and a sack in his time at Texas. 4.39 40. Like, I think like he's just a guy who can play different positions at corner. Like, he can play inside, he can play outside. And I think that the Dolphins need some. I think the Dolphins love athleticism. They also just need some dogs on defense. So it's, I think you can replace Jalen Ramsey.
Defense last year was insane, bro. Like they've got some guys for real.
Yeah, and so I'm really good with the Jade Barron pick. I think he'll be good for them. Let me try and find him. Boom. For me, for the Colts, GM of the Colts, this one honestly is pretty easy for me. I think they've been mocked tight ends for pretty much everything every mock that I've looked at, and like
Literally every mock.
I think it's like the right move. Like the Colts tight ends the position of Colts tight ends they were the team whose tight ends created the least amount of receiving yards all year last year. They have literally nobody, and I think that my pick is Colston Loveland. I think he's more of a pass catcher than a blocker. Whereas like Tyler Warren's a more overall well-rounded tight end. I think actually Colston Loveland might be a better like actual receiver than Tyler Warren. And like I think that the Colts need that, whether it's Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson. I think they need weapons because right now it's Josh Downs and Michael Pittman and maybe A.D. Mitchell. Like I think they can use a guy that can just another guy who can come out there and make plays and be explosive. And that's what Colston Loveland is. Obviously, he was dealing with injuries last year, but I think 6'6", like just a big target for
He's
Anthony
a specimen
Richardson or Daniel Jones. I think that's the right pick for them. So Colston Loveland, Michigan, number 14. To the Colts. You're back on the clock. The Falcons at 15. Who are you rolling with?
Okay, so the Falcons. You see the team needs everything is defensive. They had one of the worst defenses in the league last year. And I think to really start building your defense, having a good pass rusher is a staple in terms of just having a defense that can be respected. You look at some of the best defenses in the league: Myles Garrett on the Browns, TJ Watt on the Steelers. The Eagles have an insane amount of pass rushers. The Chiefs have Chris Jones, who stops the run but is really an insane pass rusher at the tackle spot. And I'm looking here and I see a guy who is played in big games. He's homegrown. Michael Williams or Michael. I think it might be Michael. Like a Georgia kid. He stays home, comes to play for Atlanta. I tell you one thing, Georgia kids get in trouble a lot for doing stupid shit, but them boys know how to play some football, man. Georgia defensive players know how to play some damn football. So I think here it might be a little bit of a reach, but I think the Falcons need some type of something that the fans will follow. Like if the Falcons draft a guy from Georgia, people will follow that.
Boom. So you're going with Michael Williams. On the clock for the Cardinals, our division rivals. I'm stuck. This one was a little bit tough for me. I was thinking about offensive line. They've been linked to corner and receiver. And for me, I know a lot of people like Matthew Golden. I'm not a Matthew Golden guy. I am not at all a Matthew Golden guy. You're muted. You good?
I might have accidentally clicked mine.
What were you saying?
Mouse pad. I was saying I'm with you. Like I don't believe in him being a top receiver in this class.
No, not worth a top 16 pick for me. When he was only really productive for 4 games, and that's when Isaiah Bond went down. When him and Isaiah Bond were both playing, Isaiah Bond was the wide receiver 1 at Texas. And so I think that I'm going to take my second best wide receiver here. And for me, that is Emeka Egbuka. I'm taking him for the Cardinals. He's a slot guy. They have Marvin Harrison Jr. who can play on the outside. They need someone who can get that easy stuff, those super easy. Oh shit, Kyler's in trouble. Dump it off for 6 yards over the middle. I think that Emeka.
Well, that's Trey McBride, isn't it?
Yeah, but like at the wide receiver position, because like Trey McBride's a big body target, even though he does not score touchdowns for whatever reason. I think that
For
like
the weirdest reason.
for whatever reason it may be, I think that they use him in a different way. Like I think you can utilize Emeka Egbuka as like you could also at Ohio State. They gave him the ball for carries. They used him in all kind of different ways, and he can also play on the outside. I think that that's like similar to what like people think about JSN, that like he can only play in the slot. Like I don't think that that's true. I think that Emeka Egbuka can also play outside. He ran a 4.5 40. Like he's not some slow moving.
Going into last year, he was touted one of the best receivers in last year's class. Like before we knew who Brian Thomas Jr. was, before people were really talking about Malik Neighbors, it was Marvin Harrison and Emeka Egbuka. Like they were the top two. And then I guess he had a pretty bad year last year or 2 years ago. So he decided to go back to school, and then Jeremiah Smith is there. So
yeah, and Ohio State was loaded. I think like people sleep on the athleticism. He ran a 4.5 40. People compare it to Jackson Smith and Jigba. He ran a 4.57. Amon-Ra St. Brown ran like a 4.63. Like he's a high caliber athlete, and I think that like if you put him in the slot and you let him work and you let him cook, it'll make shit easier for Kyler, and that'll make shit easier for Marvin Harrison Jr. And so for me, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take Emeka Egbuka here at 16 for the Cardinals.
Fun fact about Emeka Egbuka: he is the franchise or school leader in receptions and in catches and receiving yards.
Yeah, he and like at Ohio State, that means something.
At Ohio State, especially in the last 10 years, that means a lot. Like you've got some of the best receivers, or I shouldn't say some of the best, some of the most talented guys that ever come through playing the NFL. All these guys, most of these guys get drafted round one. That's big, man. Like I think he's whatever team gets him and utilizes him correctly, I think he's gonna be in good shape.
And like I think a team like the Cardinals is perfect because he's not going to a team where they need him to be the wide receiver one. Like that is what Marv is for. You took a guy at 4th overall last year. That's his job. Like
he's probably going to be the third option if we're being for real.
And like I think that if you bring in Emeka Egbuka and you're like, yo, I need you to cook every team's corner one, and I need you to be great, and I need you to put up 1,000-yard season year one, like I think he'll run into something. But like if you can have him in the slot and not have that pressure of being a wide receiver one, he's a great blocker, great football player, great yards after the catch guy. Like I think he has a high floor. And for like a team like the Cardinals, I think that he would make all the sense in the world for them. But yeah, as the Bengals now, what you rocking with?
Scroll all the way. There we go. Okay, so at 17, didn't expect this guy to be here, but he dropped pretty far. And sometimes you just take the best talent on the board, and for the love of everything that is holy, the Bengals need defense. And with the uncertainty of what's going to happen with Trey Hendrickson, I think you take an edge here. And Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M he's the best edge on the board. I really like him. Like he's a really fluid player. And he's not one of those guys that are just extremely athletic and use their athleticism to just overpower tackles and guards. Like his repertoire is really, really nice. And I think the Bengals just need a guy that can come in and help out Trey Hendrickson. And maybe he'll say, hey, I have some help on the defensive line. Maybe I can stay here. We can build something through the draft. The Bengals are set on offense. And I think they just need anything on defense. Like I could have taken a safety here. I could have looked for a corner, but ultimately you take the best defensive talent on the board and keep it pushing.
Yeah, I go back and forth on Shamar Stewart. I think it makes sense for the Bengals. Like they need a pass rusher. Obviously, they need defense 1,000%. And like all the athletic traits are there with Shamar Stewart. 4.5 9 40, which is 73rd percentile. 40-inch vertical, which is 96th percentile. Like 97th percentile broad jump. He has all the tools to be an explosive pass rusher for the Bengals. I think the thing that people have trouble with is like that he just can't really finish plays. Like he can get to the quarterback, but he can't take him down. He played 25 games. He had 34 tackles and 3 sacks. 3 sacks in 25 games. 1.5 of those came in his 12 games in 2024. So like prior to this season, he had 1.5 sacks. And so I think that's what people kind of get locked up on. And I think it'll take him time to develop and put it all together. But like as a pure talent, I think the Bengals can definitely take the shot here on him becoming a, double-digit sack guy. And then my baby boys up, yes sir. Seattle Seahawks.
Hey yo,
John Schneider in this bitch right now.
Hey yo,
Seattle Seahawks. See, this is my actual team. And so I am invested and I do give a fuck. Whereas like the rest of the teams, like, who gives a fuck? I don't care. I'm just going on the dome. But for the Seahawks, I think it's very clear we need interior offensive line. That is what we need. We need guards and we need a center. I think at tackles, we're cool with Abe Lucas and Charles Cross. I think we could use receiver. I think we could use safety. I think we could use edge. Like there's a lot of things we could. You could use a tight end because who knows what we're doing with Noah Fant. But for me, I am going to take Mr. Gray Zabel, offensive guard, North Dakota State. I think
he the best guard in the draft for you.
I think he is the best. I think he is probably the best guard in the draft for me. I think he's versatile. I think he can play different positions on the offensive line, which I think will be good for us. Just because, like, I don't know, like I like Charles Cross and I like Abe Lucas, but like at the end of the day, like I'm not super duper sold on them. The tough part is he did go to like North Dakota State, which is obviously an FCS school, but like I'm cool with that. Like I think he's athletic, he's versatile. Like when I look for a guard and interior offensive lineman, I want someone that is moving people. I want someone that I can look at and be like, yo, you have all the tools. You're strong. You're fast. You're an athlete at the position. And he's reliable, quick feet. He 98th percentile vertical, 80th percentile broad jump. Like, I just think that and I was looking at his Senior Bowl tape. Like, he was cooking at the Senior Bowl. So for me, I'm taking Gray Zabel. And I know this isn't like the super sexy pick, but like, I think the Seahawks aren't super duper far away. And I don't want to say that. I think we need a lot of talent left. Like, I don't think we have a ton of blue chip talent. I think we have a lot of good football players. I don't think we have a lot of great football players. So like, I think Gray Zabel is another good football player that we can kind of push in there. And the goal at the end of the season is protect Sam Darnold, What I was thinking about here is taking a quarterback because I do think that we take one. John Schneider has only taken 2 quarterbacks in his tenure. And I think this is the year that he makes it 3. In my personal mock draft for us, I have us taking Gray Zabel here, and I have us trading up from 52 to the Eagles at 32. So the last pick in the first round to take Jalen Milroe before the Browns or Giants can take him in the second round. But we're not going to do that here because this is a 1-round mock. So I'm taking Gray Zabel, and the Buccaneers are back on the clock.
Scroll up a little bit. Let me see.
I got you. Boom. This is the
all
top.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I ain't been following the Buccaneers. I can't lie to y'all. But I know that they've got some holes at linebacker. They probably need a corner. They've lost a few corners over the years. Carlton Davis. I like Antoine Whitfield Jr. He's really, really good. I think they could use another guy back there. And this guy to me is the best safety in the draft. But honestly, now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, maybe they could go edge. Ultimately here, you want to pick who I'm going to pick who I think is the best defensive player here. That's Malachi Starks out of Georgia. Like I said before, Georgia defensive players are usually pretty damn good. I didn't watch a lot of Georgia this year. I'm not going to lie, but I will say he jumps off the screen anytime you watch Georgia. And I think one thing about Georgia players in general, like they're pretty disciplined, and I guess except for when the Packers draft them. And in terms of just athleticism and being technically sound, they are pretty good at that too. Kirby Smart knows his guys. He knows how to teach defense, and I think Todd Bowles would really like this one.
Yeah. I like the pick for them. I'm not gonna lie. I'm thinking about what I'm doing for the Broncos at 20, and Sean Payton's an absolute madman. But I think that he's made it pretty clear that they're gonna take a back. I don't know that they take a back this early, but if I'm shooting my shot and Omarion Hampton falls this far, I think they probably go and take him just because at running back right now they have Jaleel McLaughlin and Aldrick Estime. And like, granted, I have dynasty shares of Aldrick Estime, so like I don't want this to happen, but
He's not good.
I can totally see them taking Omarion Hampton. I think he's the consensus RB2 in the class. Like, he is a good back. I think he has 3,164 rushing yards over the past two seasons, which is second to only Ashton Genty. He's an underrated receiver, 67 catches over that same 2-year span. I think he will take a lot of pressure off Bo Nix. I think he's a guy that can run through you, run around you, catch a pass, and take it 30 yards to the crib. He's athletic. I think Sean Payne's going to like everything about him. 4.46 640, which is 80th percentile, 38-inch vertical jump, 66 percentile, 97th percentile broad jump. Like, he's just an all-around good downhill running back. And I think he can handle a heavy workload and play on all three downs. So I think that the Broncos end up taking Omarion Hampton here with the 20th pick in the draft. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade back though, but I'm gonna say they take Omarion Hampton. And so Mike Tomlin, how you doing? Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan, the Steelers are on the clock.
Listen, man, I don't know what the hell the Steelers are doing. I think they need, well, first of all, there's been rumblings that they may trade George Pickens, which I don't think is a bad idea. He's kind of a crash out. And when you're just blatantly disrespecting your coach, who's one of the most respected coaches in the NFL, I think the rapport of your reputation around the league goes down. So I think, Mike Tomlin's dealt with some knuckleheads before. You mean Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant, Le'Veon Bell. Like, if you can handle Antonio Brown, you can handle anybody. But they're in a weird spot. Like, they don't have a quarterback right now. They're kind of just waiting on Aaron Rodgers to say yes. They could make a move to take Shedeur Sanders, but in this case, I'm looking on the board and scroll up a little bit. And my assistant is ass.
Me?
Yeah. So, I mean, at this point, you need a quarterback, you need a wide receiver, and the Steelers are notorious for taking great athletes at wide receiver. And I think this is where Matthew Golden goes. I think they buy into his speed. And I think even if you don't trade George Pickens, just having a third guy after getting DK Metcalf, George Pickens, and now you add a guy who just ran a 4.23. I don't love his technical ability. He is good at making contested catches, but his speed is game changing, especially in the position he'd be in. He'd most likely be their slot / gadget guy. So, just putting him in for the type of role he'd have at least year one, putting him in for some jet sweeps, putting him in for a nice little drag route, and then putting him on a 9 every once in a while, and he can pretty much outrun anybody you put on him. I think it'll work out well for them as long as they're most likely getting Aaron Rodgers. Like, let's be honest, Aaron Rodgers is not retiring. He's an attention diva fuck. He'll most likely be a Steeler. He's just weighing out his options because he's an attention whore. Yeah.
Boom.
I think the Steelers need some defensive players, but I don't think they would take anybody here.
I got you. On the clock as the Chargers. For me, I know Jim Harbaugh, and I think he likes his Michigan men. So I'm going to go ahead and take Kenneth Grant, D tackle out of Michigan. I actually don't hate Kenneth Grant. I think he's kind of mid, to be honest, but he's a better run defender than he is pass rusher. But I do think that the Chargers need some interior D linemen, big body, big body, 6'4", 331. He is he's a big man. He made 5 starts for Michigan during their national championship run in 2023, where obviously Jim Harbaugh is the coach. He finished the season with 29 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 5 pass breakups. This last year, he was 3rd team All-American, 2nd team All Big Ten. I just think that like he's another like hard-nosed, like just good, strong football player that like Jim Harbaugh already liked because he played for him before. He knows the guy he's getting. He knows his character. He knows the ins and outs of the type of player that he is. And yeah, I think he's more of a run plugger, but like I think you can kind of try and build some pass rush in him. But yeah, I think that the Chargers end up taking Kenneth Grant. And now your boys are on the clock, Mr. Jalal Sandy.
You hear that? You hear the crowd? Packers fans going crazy.
The home
team.
Okay. So
Green Donald Bay Driver comes out to make the pick announcement. Man, the Packers need a lot. They need a corner. They need edge. They need wide receiver. They need a D tackle. Honestly, they could use an offensive tackle, in my opinion. But here, I think you take a defensive guy. In real life, I think the Packers would take an edge, but here I'm gonna take a D tackle to help out Kenny Clark, who's getting a little bit older. I think the depth of edge in this class is really deep, so I think you could get an edge in the 2nd round. I'm gonna take Derek Harmon at round and at pick number 23. Just a guy who can disrupt the pass rush or disrupt the quarterback and can stop the run. He's another guy who's played against some of the best talent in amongst NFL prospects within the Big Ten. You consider here maybe trading for someone. Like I think the Packers could make a trade tomorrow. Like Jair Alexander might not be a Packer by the time they pick. And their name was also mentioned in the George Pickens sweepstakes. I don't believe it. I don't buy it. It's kind of like every time somebody wants a trade from their team, the Heat are mentioned in the NBA. It's the same thing. But they have to go defense here. I don't think this class is, even though they need a receiver, this class is not the class to do it in the 1st round. And it'll be one of those picks where it's not sexy, but it works.
Yeah, that's how I feel about the Seahawks Grace Abel pick. It's like, listen, we need to fill holes. We need to fill spots. Like, he might not be the best player available, but he fills a spot and he could be a star in his role. And so yeah, I like the pick for the Packers. For me, I am now the Vikings, and I'm getting freaky. As the Vikings, I think they only have like 4 picks in this draft. So, as the Minnesota Vikings, let me find them. Boom. This is where the New York Football Giants trade back up into the 1st round. Let me find them. Boom.
Oh,
See,
hold on. The Heat coming back.
The Vikings have 4 picks. They don't pick between 24 and 97. So, like, there is a massive gap between their next couple picks. So, I'm saying the Vikings give up 24 for 34. They give up 24 and 139 for 34, 71, and 154. And so they get some good little thing. What? Rejected? No,
there you go. I told you. The computer be rejected.
We making this bitch work.
Hold on. You.
I might just not take 139 from them. Whatever. 24 for 34, 71. And 154. I don't actually think that the Giants would do this, but just for the sake of getting it done. What? There's no way the Vikings going to do that. Well, honestly, it doesn't really matter because we're not doing more than 2 rounds. So I'm just gonna do whatever makes them do the trade. But in real life, the Giants do something that makes it not be a fleece. But for now, I'm saying they get, I don't know, give them 65, 71. Who gives a shit? Propose. Yeah. If they reject this, they're nuts. Okay, boom. The Giants getting back up to 24. And keep in mind, in real life, they're not doing that, but I think that they find something that makes it work. It's been rumored that Brian Dable is a big fan of one specific guy. I don't want to spoil it. Joe Shane, Brian Dable, they very clearly need to keep their jobs. I don't know that Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston is the answer to that. I think that they can have a Steelers season though. Like I think they can win 10 games with a really good defense and then like make the playoffs and flame out and that be enough. But I think there needs to be some sort of hope somewhere. And I think the Giants trade up after in your mock, in our mock, they took Armand Membu. So they need to bring them a quarterback. They're a great white hope, Mr. Jackson Dart from Ole Miss. I think that they trade in back into the first round. The Vikings pick up some picks. It makes sense. They have a quarterback of the future. They can run someone out during the preseason and say, hey, he might not play this year, but this is the future of our franchise. And maybe by themselves 2 or 3 more years.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, it's how niggas get fired. Galaxy bring their way into thinking that this next great white hope is going to save their franchise. And he ends up being absolute dog shit.
Well, I do want to say, do we know where Eli Manning went to school? Ole Miss.
I do.
And years later,
with the Galaxy brain. Here you go.
20 years later, they find another Ole Miss savior to come and be their franchise.
Man. God dang it.
And so the Houston Texans are on the clock. Who are you rolling with here?
I think if you're the Texans here, this is the second one of our GMs to have creamed their pants in this mock draft. A guy who probably should have gone top 10, top 15, still sitting here. For everything that I said about the Bengals defense, the same thing I'm saying about the Texans O-line. For everything that is good and holy, please protect CJ Stroud. He is not Lamar Jackson. He is not Jaden Daniels. He cannot just run for his life and make magic. So we are taking a tackle. You take Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas. I think you are ecstatic that he has fallen this far. I think you probably anticipated Josh Simmons or Tyler Booker being the pick here, but if the guy that you didn't even have on your board because you didn't anticipate him being here is still there, you take him and you smile.
Yeah. For me, as the Rams, I'm going back and forth because I think that they end up taking offensive line. I just don't know that I'm willing to take Josh Simmons here. I think like he's coming off a season-ending knee injury. He's 22. He does have a good frame at tackle, good balance. He should be a day one starter, but like then again, the knee injury, he might not be back in time to start. He tore his ACL against Oregon in October. I think that was the game we were at for your bachelor party. Like the game that was on the TV. I think he tore his ACL in that game.
The Oregon game?
Yeah. He tore his ACL in that game. He's super athletic though, and I don't think the Rams go edge here for Mike Green. I don't think they go safety. So I'm gonna take Josh Simmons at tackle, and this is probably the pick I feel the least good about. But then again, like the Rams go for upside, and like it says right here, like had he not torn his ACL, he could have been the best offensive line prospect in the draft. And so, yeah, I'm taking Josh Simmons here. They need someone to protect Stafford, and for the last year of his career, probably. The Ravens are on the clock here.
Yeah. the Ravens are competing for a championship as long as Lamar Jackson is their quarterback. I think you have just about everything you need offensively. Maybe you try to get another receiver, but not at this point in the draft. I think you can always beef in your defense. And the Ravens love to do that. I think here they could use another safety across from Kyle Hamilton.
Okay.
So, and could never pronounce this man's last name.
Mm-hmm.
But we're taking Nick Amanowari.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay.
Out of South Carolina.
He gets a lot of Kyle Hamilton comps. So, like, I think that
he's a very versatile guy. And I think you can play him as a nickelback or you can play him deep in coverage. And, Kyle Hamilton might be the best safety in football. So I think when you have that type of versatility and you've got the front seven that the Ravens always seem to put together, whether you or I know the guys that are there, I think they figure it out. And their identity for the last 15 years not even the last 25 years has been defense. Like when you think of the Ravens, you think defense.
Yeah. I think I like Nick Amanowari. I go back and forth. He is just like an absolute weapon on defense. He's 6'3", 220 with insane athleticism, 4'3", 840, which is 98th percentile, 43-inch vertical, 98th percentile, 98th percentile broad jump. Like he's just an absolute athlete at his size, good tackler, only 7 missed tackles in 2024. I think he struggles in coverage a bit, but I think that like overall it makes sense. And if the Ravens do pair Kyle Hamilton and Nick Amanowari, they could have a pretty crazy safety tandem. And so on the clock as the Lions, I think this is probably pretty easy for me. They lost Kevin Zeitler in free agency, and Tyler Booker is. I love Tyler Booker. If the Seahawks were to take Tyler Booker, I would be perfectly fine with it. He isn't the athlete that Grace Abel is, but like he is a.
You could have took him.
I know. I said I wouldn't be mad if they did. I prefer Grace Abel, but if they took Tyler Booker, I would understand. He isn't the athlete. He's not as versatile. I think like when you watch him, a lot of the time he didn't test great, but like also when you watch him, like he's playing with Jalen Milroe, and like Jalen Milroe's running by him half the time. So like everyone looks unathletic when you're playing next to Jalen Milroe, and so I think, but like he's a dog, bro. At the combine, they asked him like, yo, what's your favorite part about playing football? And his answer was like, making the guy on the other side of me not love playing football. And I was like, damn, I love it. Like, that's a good ass answer off the dome. Right, like, I just, and that feels like a Lions player. That
sounds like a Dan Campbell.
That's a Dan Campbell guy. Make the guy across from you hate lining up. Like, and so for me, they have a hole at guard now that Kevin Zeitler's gone, and he feels like the perfect Dan Campbell player. So, Tyler Booker goes 28 to the Lions. You're on the clock, 29. Watch the Commanders. Adam Peters. What you doing here?
Yeah, the Commanders, I think, honestly, they need defensive help. I think, personally, they need help at running back. I don't think that Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler is the answer to their problems. But you have invested time and money into both of them and some draft capital into Brian Robinson. So we don't touch that right now. Maybe we address that in the second or third round. A running back hasn't gone in a few picks, and that's fine. So we're going to take an edge here since, you traded away Montez Sweat 2 years ago. Haven't found the next guy to be the leader of a defense. You got some veterans. Bobby Wagner came back. Dan Quinn is a defensive-minded coach. This is why I think they lean defense here. Mike Green been sitting here for a while. Not out of a small school. Marshall isn't really a prominent school as much as they were, I guess, when they first started coming up in the 70s and 80s, but good football players are good football players. Khalil Mack went to Buffalo. So, I mean, when you see a guy that you think can play football, and I went back and forth between him and James Pierce Jr. I think James Pierce Jr. is an electric athlete, but ultimately you take the guy who you think can contribute because you need guys who can play day one.
Yeah, I like the pick for them. The Commanders just always draft well. Like they've been drafting well recently. It's like over the past 2 years. So this would be a good pick for them. And I feel like Mike Green might even go earlier. So if they fall to him, great value. Bills on the clock now. For the Bills, I think I'm leaning corner because like they don't really have much there. They have Christian Benford, and Dane Jackson. Tre'Davious White did go back, but like he's kind of washed.
He's not the guy that he was when he was last there.
Not at all the guy that he was there. So I end up taking Trey Amos from Ole Miss. I was looking at like the reason I know about him is because I was looking at corner prospects for the Seahawks, and he's good size. He has good size. He's 6'1". He's really a 1-year contributor. He's a senior. He transferred from Alabama and Louisiana. 4'4", 340. I think he has good coverage skills, which the Bills very clearly need. I think he's scheme versatile. I think that he like lacks a little bit of speed, but like I don't know that they would draft him to be their corner one. I think they're just trying to build like a pretty consistent secondary that doesn't get beat deep, and I think he can help with that. And I do think that he struggles as a tackler. But overall, I think that they end up taking Trey Amos just because when it comes to need here for the Bills, he's probably the best player to accomplish that for them. And here we are, the last two picks, Super Bowl matchup. You get the Chiefs, I get the Eagles. Who's the dynasty going with here?
Dynasty is trading out of the first round.
Okay. I was about to trade out the first.
Oh, you were? Okay.
No, I'm not gonna, but I was thinking about it.
So all right, help me out here.
All right, assistant GM. I'm cooking. All right, where's KC? Who we trading with?
KC. All right. So
help me out, GM. Help me out.
Okay, Carolina. We're gonna go Carolina.
Okay.
Damn, Carolina ain't got no picks. I forgot. Never mind.
Okay.
Back up out of there.
You're not going Carolina.
Oh my God, the Heat down 4. We gonna go
teams in the top of the second.
Yeah. Let's try New England.
Okay. New England. Boom. So you give up 31.
Okay. So give up 31. We get 38, and we get 106.
They know
because
shot.
we have 63, 66, and 95.
Yeah, hell no, boy.
All right. Man, redo it. We gonna get that pick.
Who is it with? It's with the Patriots, right? Yeah.
Hit that tie? Damn.
All right, 31, 38. What else?
Do like 171 or something.
171 and 106?
Nah, just 171.
They didn't accept it before when it was 106 and shit. Why would they accept it at 171?
It's a lower pick.
Wait, you didn't do 220? You did like 144 and they didn't accept.
Nah, I did 106. I'm dropping down 30 picks.
Wait, but you're saying we're giving. Oh.
Yeah, it was the offer was 38 and 106.
You're right. There you go.
They gotta accept that.
My bad. I was tripping.
So the Patriots need an edge. They need defense.
Okay.
And you're being aggressive.
Okay.
We're taking Nick Scorton out of Texas A&M. Who, if I'm being honest, I would love him on the Packers, even though I think he's a reach at that spot. But he's really good. Like, I think he's probably the most underrated guy in the draft in terms of edge. And Texas A&M wasn't great last year, but SEC football defense, and he's a guy like his instincts are really good to me, and I think with a defensive coach, there's a theme here. Defensive coach, draft defensive players. You invest your draft capital in the first round in defensive players.
Yeah, I like Nick Scoring. I don't know that I like him in the first round, but I like Nick Scoring. I think it's a worthwhile shot for the Packs. He started 12 games for Texas A&M 2024, 37 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 2 pass breakups, forced fumble, first team all SEC, which is like big because there's a lot of talent in the SEC. So it makes sense. I totally get it. And as the Eagles, I thought about trading down. I already said this earlier. I think that the Seahawks trade up to take Jalen Milroe here, but I'm not going to do that in this draft.
Do you really think that's going to happen?
I think that it's a bigger possibility than a lot of people are talking about. I think that we like him.
Why would they do that? Why would they do that?
That we really like Jalen Milroe, and we don't pick again until 50. And so we only worked out 2 QBs, Tyler Show and Jalen Milroe. And so I don't think Milroe's lasting to 50, especially with Giants, Browns, all at the top of the second round. So if you want to get him, you got to trade up to the back end of the first. And I think crazier things have happened. Like, think about, the Ravens did it. They got Lamar, last pick in the first. I'm not saying that Jalen
Lamar is not.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
Lamar won a Heisman.
I'm just saying it's happened before. I don't think that I'm not gonna do it here though. I'm gonna say the Eagles stick and pick. I'm just trying to figure out who I want to go for them here. I think that I'm leaning towards Walter Nolan. D tackle. They obviously already have a pretty good D tackle in Jalen Carter, who is a little bit of a fucking head case. But I think that like the Eagles could use some interior offensive line help. They did.
Brandon Graham retired.
Yeah, they had Brandon Graham retire, and he's probably the best D tackle left on the board. So I'm leaning Walter Nolan. I don't really think I'm looking at the rest of the options here. I think Walter Nolan probably accomplishes everything I need him to. 48 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 3 pass breakups, another first team all SEC guy. High energy guy. All right, cool. I'll take Walter Nolan to end out the first round of the draft. And boom, I love Jihad Campbell. The injury stuff. The injury stuff is a little bit tough. But if
I almost had the Commanders take him, but I'm like, I don't know.
It's the injury stuff for me. I don't know. I'm not totally sure. I think that he's like talent-wise one of the like top 15 guys in the draft. It's just, and if there was a team to take the chance, I could see the Eagles doing it.
Oh, they're the ones to do it. Like they are.
And you always look back at this and they're like, how did they end up? Like
how did they drop so far? Like nobody wanted them.
Yeah. So I'm looking. Honestly, I'm leading Jihad Campbell. Honestly, I think that's where I go. Luther Burden, I don't think they take. Tally Williams, I don't think they take. Trayvon Henderson, no way. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jihad Campbell here to end out the first round of the draft.
For the YouTube watchers, just see me do a gesture, trying to watch the Heat game. It's the fourth quarter. We're down 2. We stormed back from about 22 down. So, I'm trying to draft and watch the game at the same time.
No, I'm about to screenshot this. I can post it I'll post it on our Twitter. But boom, that is our first.
We're gonna make an Instagram.
I know we should totally make an Instagram and start posting on Reels.
Because I feel like you definitely have more Instagram followers than Twitter followers.
Yeah, I do, but they're all like our mans, and Twitter it's easier for random ass people to find you on Twitter,
But your mans might repost you.
I think we should still make an Instagram just to like cover all our bases 1,000%.
Yeah.
Follow us on Instagram, the Run It Up Podcast.
Do you have one?
No, we don't. We don't have. We'd have to make it. But I think it's worthwhile to make it. And so taking one last look at our mock draft. I think. Imagine this happens. Imagine we just nailed every pick.
That'd be insane. Take the screenshot.
Yeah, I already took the screenshot. I took the screenshot just in case.
Yo, Tyler Hero got like 32, bro.
What are you down by?
2. This man's putting this on his back.
How much time is left?
Him and Donovan Mitchell going band for band. 2:55.
Okay. So we're gonna get out of here. So we're gonna get up out of here so Jalaal can enjoy the rest of his Heat game. One last look at the mock draft. I think we did a lot of chalk stuff, but we also made some trades. We did some fun shit. So if this is how it ends up being, I like it.
What's your favorite pick of the draft?
My favorite
of our draft.
pick. My favorite pick. I'm not gonna be a homer and say Grace Abel, but I'll say my favorite pick is probably the Genty to the Bears. I think if they get him at 10 and they don't have to trade up and he just falls to them, like that's a steep. Like they're gonna be insane offensively, I think, with Ben Johnson. So I really like the Genty to the Bears, and I like the Colton Loveland to the Colts. What's your favorite pick?
I like Jalen Walker to Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I like Amarion Hampton to the Broncos. Oh my goodness. Spider putting us in the dirt. Jesus Christ. And I like honestly, I like your Jackson Dart thing. I was just messing with you, but I think it could realistically happen. Like the Giants
the Vikings need picks.
Could take a shot.
Yeah.
Damn. And honestly, bro, if we were the Giants GMs, we cooked. We got some draft capital and then use that draft capital to trade up and get a quarterback.
We cooked. You were the Giants. Yeah, we cooked.
Got a tackle and a quarterback.
Yeah. And we still got picks for the rest of the draft. I think.
Oh my God. Don't. Oh, airball.
There you go. And so, yeah, we're going to get up out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the mock. If you want to see more, go on the Twitter. Hope you guys subscribe to Run It Up Podcast everywhere that podcasts are found. You can find us on TikTok at the Run It Up Podcast, Twitter at Run It Up Pod. Instagram coming soon. You can find me on Twitter at @Najee_Jalaal at JSandy45_. I hope you guys have a litty day, a litty night, a litty life, and just like every episode of this podcast, make sure y'all go run it up.